Hey everybody, welcome back to Punch Dialogue. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow us and make sure to write that 5-star review. It means so much to us.
On Apple or Spotify or YouTube, wherever you listen, just review 5 stars and hit share. Yeah.
Today, we have an amazing guest, Lady Pista. She's a trailblazer, music producer, and a DJ, right? She got sold out shows and, she's known for her collaborations and from working with legends like Teddy Riley to remixing hits for Diljit Dosanjh. She's literally changing the music scene one beat at a time.
Yeah, welcome Lady Pista to the show.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I like it.
You're a legend. I know about you for, oh my God, so many years. And, we finally got you here. And so thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be here,
Yeah, no, thank you as well. Like I said, I've known about your work too. So it's a mutual feeling.
Oh, appreciate it.
So it's a full circle moment. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're in the music field and we're in like more comedy filmmaking.
Yeah.
So even though we see each other, we're like kind of just like always avoiding each other at the same time because we have different crowds.
Yeah.
But it's nice to like actually sit down and share insights and like see what you've been through and hopefully inspire the younger crowd that wants to get into music and DJing, right?
Yeah.
Especially the communities you represent. But before we get to all that, like, why did you get into music and how did you get into music, first of all?
You know what? I don't want to age myself, even though there's nothing wrong with that. But it's been over
Just a number.
decade.
Yo, same with us. We've been at this for a decade.
Right?
Yeah.
Nothing to be afraid of. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a minute now. I think it just happened as a hobby. Me and my cousins had a dance group and we literally needed somebody to mix our music. And, back then we just had like cuts of different types of music and we used to just send it off to get it mixed and it came back and it wasn't that great. So I was like, oh, how hard is this going to be? Right. So I started mixing that way and I never knew it was going to last and be my career. So that was the starting point of it. And, it just kind of escalated from that. I would like sit on my computer for 8 hours, 10 hours and just immersed into waveforms, mixing, and this is a very long time ago. And I started out programs like Sony Acid Pro, and I forgot the other one, Audacity. Do you remember Audacity?
I remember Audacity.
Yeah. I still use it. Audacity, right? Yeah.
So like I was like, oh, this is how like sound looks physically in a physical format because we are all used to hearing it, right? So I was just so intrigued by that. And it just took me away into a different world. So that really is how I started.
And you started with a passion like that. Are you technically trained? Did you decide to go to school for it or did you just learn on your own when you can?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I learned on my own. And then, our Amma always say you have to go to university. So at that time, I never had anything creative to go into because in university, they weren't offering that. So I ended up going to Ryerson and quickly...
I went to Ryerson.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, you probably didn't see me because I was only there for half a year. Or not even a year.
Yeah, nobody liked Ryerson.
No, it wasn't even about that. I was just like, oh man, this is just not me. Like I went from being a straight A student to not doing like well at all because my mind wasn't in it. So I think at that point I was like, let me just really just go to school for this. So I went to audio engineering school and I did, I did music full time as in schooling. And it was the best time of my life. I had made so much great friends and, learned a lot.
That's the main point of school, I think, because I was recently talking to some friends about film school because I'm more in that industry and they're like, oh, you don't need to go to school for the arts.
Yeah.
What's your stance on that?
I think, so my stance on that is like, I like half and half. I like the fact if you grow up kind of having your own style or whatever it is, film, art, music, and then go to school. Now you've developed your own and someone's not really instilling those, their creative beliefs and values on you. I think if you have something in your core and then you kind of elevate and you kind of craft that tool, I like that mix.
Yeah, I think that's the best answer. Find your voice, find your style first.
Otherwise, then you end up being like everybody else, right? And who wants that?
Yeah.
So traditionally, DJing, I think, is like it's men, right? They're the one who's dominant, right? So you're female. So how was the reception like when you went into DJing? Like, did the crowd were they surprised? Were they, receptive? To your music?
In the early let's just say 2010, right? Around that time or even earlier. Because I was one of probably the first ones to do it here. And I just remember people just stared. That's all I got was just they were just like in awe. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was I always felt like I had something to prove, right? Because it's kind of, you're the first one doing it. Nobody wants to be the first one, right? And as in Tamil, I'm not saying in general, but like as a Tamil female doing it and playing Tamil songs. So I always felt like there was a lot of eyes on me, and that felt really uncomfortable. But also it made me really good at what I do, because I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If you're good at what you do, you're eventually going to gain the respect. I mean, it's easier for a male because that's predominantly male, right? But as women, we have to try a little bit harder. So in the beginning, or a lot harder actually, let's not sugarcoat. So in the beginning, it was more so about, oh, like, who's this? Like, or are you, because I did remixes back then as well. So are you a guy pretending to be a woman, right? We got a lot of those. So
why would someone suggest that? What do you mean?
Because women apparently are not capable, right? And then as we grew and as like the years kind of, escalated and we got more women into the scene, now it was more, is it either a sexual thing? Are you going to be labeled a female DJ? Right, which I have my opinions about.
And what are your opinions? What?
I don't like the term. I think that we are all same as our male counterparts.
A DJ is a DJ.
Yeah.
Like, why does it have to be female?
So you don't want to be called a female DJ?
No, because that just kind of just puts me in a path of I can only be a female DJ, and that's very segregated. Whereas, I can go against any of my male counterparts and not be labeled as that, right?
That's true.
I think... when you see a doctor, they're not saying that's a female doctor, right? So it's one of those things that we don't really talk about, and a lot of females do use that term, and that's okay. But for me, I prefer just to, as a producer, like female producer, we have that as well. And it's just this like ideology that women can't make music, or there's this like strange thing when we multitask all the time.
Yeah.
Well, question for you though.
Yeah.
So why did you put lady in front of Pista then?
Whoa. I didn't connect the dots.
Good question.
Calling her out. Okay.
It's not female Pista though, it is lady.
That is true. That is true.
There is a reason for it. I think when I started the name, or and when I was trying to think about like the names that I wanted to call myself, I think it was born at a point where I had a lot of fear and I had a lot of resentment kind of built up towards this world. And it was something that could take me out. So imagine as like an alter ego, right? So the lady part of me would be very like feminine, very compassionate, right? And the Pista part, you guys know what that means. It's like a badass, like nobody messes with you. You got your own thing. You speak your mind. You're building, you're innovating. So I think those two put together is how I came up with that. I would say it's an alter ego, because I am very different when I'm not spinning music or I'm not under the artist name, but it allows me to channel that really best version of myself.
Yeah, it's like a good juxtaposition, the lady and the Pista.
Exactly,
so I get it.
Just like how you're badass, your music is badass too, right?
Thank
I was
you.
actually listening to some yesterday, man. Yeah. You love to fuse music, eh? So I've been listening to your music, and you just predominantly like mainly like South Asian music mixed in with Afro or soca or drill. Like where did this? Why are you so fixated on remixing South Asian music?
I mean, music in general, creating South Asian music as a base is something that is my roots. And, like I started with Tamil music, went into Punjabi, went into Bollywood, Indian music. So I wanted to create this like hub where it's just like the root is South Asian, and anything that I do is going to be branched off from there. And I think like Tamil music, we were talking about Do It for Love, like that song, which is I'm a piano song, it's an original. I wanted Tamil music to be in it, and Ranjit, who is just an amazing singer, that's on that song. I wanted him to be a part of it because I want the masses to hear Tamil music with what's happening right now. And and then Teddy Riley got to hear it. So he's just listening to Tamil music now in a studio.
That's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? So like if I were to sell out or to be like, okay, now this is in and I want to just kind of not do that, then we don't have access, or we can't be the bridge for other cultures to listen to our culture. And this is just a smart way of doing it. And also it keeps me grounded of who I am and where my ancestors came from.
Yeah.
So that's something that I always want to kind of
That is
keep with me.
crazy that you mentioned Teddy Riley.
Yeah.
That, he's a 2 Grammy Award winner. He's the vocalist for Blackstreet. And
he produced Black Streets. Yeah.
And he collaborated with Michael Jackson too. How did you get this opportunity to work with him?
Like, as I was telling you off screen, I have like some crazy weird luck.
Yo, I need that.
I don't even know if it's luck or if it's just like, manifestation and going in with an open mind for anything and treating people kindly, because that goes a long way.
That's so big. Yeah.
Yeah. And essentially, I had, there was this amazing artist called Sky Monroe. She's a Spanish. She does Spanish music and English, the cool like cultural riff there. We had met on social media on Instagram, and she had wanted to work with me. That's really how it started. And this was about 2.5 years ago. And coincidentally, one day we were on video chat and she's like, hi, I don't want to get into details because some of it is private, but long story short, somebody that she really was close with was Teddy Riley. And next minute, he's just on video chat with me.
Oh, cool.
Did you screenshot that?
I'm just asking. In my room, and I'm just like, what's happening? And he's like, yo, I really dig your music. Like, I really like what you're doing. I love for you to be part of my album. And we just kind of like started a relationship like that. But really, it did start from that other artist that I was talking to you, right? So the power of being real, genuine, and also not having intentions to get something.
Exactly.
Right? Like
That's
you do
huge.
everything with your heart, and like people see that.
Yeah.
And they want to be a part of whatever you're a part of. So that's really how it started. And he arranged the song. He did some stuff on the song, and more than that, it's just really having that connection to him now. And he's working on Mary J. Blige's album. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. So like, who knows, right?
So off of that, like you said how being nice gets you far or something like that. But like when I see kindness, that's the word. When I see
not nice, there's a difference.
Oh,
what's the difference?
The difference is when you're nice or too nice, people take advantage of you.
Okay.
Right? Kindness is always having something maybe good to say about somebody, or appreciating somebody's work. Right? I feel like sometimes, especially in this industry, if you're just nice, you sometimes are a doormat, or you're a people pleaser, or like you do certain things just to be liked. Yeah,
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance that, the kindness with a lot of young rappers off of SoundCloud may have this attitude of like, oh, I'm tough. Look how gangster I am. I can't talk to people that are less than 1,000 followers. Like, there's this perception, right? About collabing, about trying to get up there, about like the race. What are your opinions on that? If you're trying to just get your name out there, and also you're trying to be nice to those around, like kind to those around you. Is there a way to balance that?
Yeah, there is, because there's this analogy that, or it's not even an analogy, you don't know where these people are going to be in 10 years, right? So the tables can always turn. That should always be in your mind. Like, life is all about that give and take in terms of you never know where people are going to be, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you went to high school with people, and now they're at really high positions, and
for sure.
like you could use them now. But if you were an asshole back then, sorry, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna hinder you. So I think in that context, like even when and this whole like stuff about like followers is such bullshit. Like I know like marketing wise it works and like people pay attention to you, but people are people at the end of the day, right? Like what if they don't know how to market themselves on social media, but they're crazy at what they do, right? So I always like to see beyond that, but that's just a me thing, and that's how I operate.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
So in this day of followers and stuff, what is the best way to get your start or, grow? Because people look at the follow count. They do look at the follow count.
They do for sure, yeah.
So, do you focus on the followers? Do you just work on your craft? Do you just be kind and just hope? Like, what's the best route?
I think all three. I think for me, I can only talk about my personal experience, right? Everyone has their own path. And I think for my path, when I started really taking this seriously, like it was really just, you know, in February of this year.
Huh?
When I actually was like,
But I've heard of you for like a long time.
I know, but I was going through my own journey and own, you know, mental, just everything. And, you know, with art, we have to be at a place where we can create in a healthy space. And if we can't do that, then A, we're not consistent. B, you know, we're just not going to want to make art, whatever that looks like to you. And, you know, I was in a space where I was figuring my life out. You know, music was hard. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and be like everything that came to me was given, because it wasn't. It was all earned. And through time and learning about myself, right? That's how I create the music that I create, is because of all of that stuff that I went through. But why I say February is because I really intentionally put it out there that, hey, like, you're going to do this and this is going to be your year. Like, it doesn't matter if you do this for 15 years, 3 years, whatever it is. I really just kind of just put it out there that this is going to be it. And it's just not, and now you've decided, right? And now doing that consistent one action. And that's really how I started. For me, it was Reels, because I really actually enjoy filming, and, you know, I do all of that myself. So, and that's something I had control over, right? We don't have control over the things that, that we want and necessarily don't have at the moment. But that's one thing I can control. I can control getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning or 7 a.m. or whatever time that is. I can control using my phone to shoot music. I can control creating music. I can control editing it. I can control posting it, right? So for me, that is how I started developing this momentum on social media. And I remember, I think I was like at 10K followers, and then like 6 months, it was just like skyrocketed to like 90 or 80 or whatever. Damn. And that is like, that was a lot of work. That wasn't easy, right? And
it's all this year too.
Yeah. And like, if you look at my previous work, it was never consistent, right? It's like one day I would like put something out, next day it would disappear, you know, like, and that's really common with artists. That's very common. And like, even if you do suffer from ADHD or any sort of...
you have ADHD?
I do. And I was diagnosed in February as well. So
we just released a podcast today where we talked to a psychologist about ADHD. So, and one of our recent guests also explained that she got diagnosed. It's so common.
It's so common, especially in the creative spaces. And I think a lot of the times now it's just like on social media, it's like this fun thing that goes around. Oh, you have ADHD. Like, you know?
How's that a fun thing?
No, it's just like they think it's cool, or like everyone has it.
Yeah.
Or like
and then
something. It's taken lightly is what I mean. It's just like, oh, okay, everybody has it.
People make those TikToks with the game playing at the bottom and then something scrolling at the top.
I'm like, it's actually not a joke. Like, people's lives really get affected by this.
Yeah, no. I'm not laughing.
No, not
that.
you. I'm
just what you said. Yeah. No. I just, and what you just said too. So is that why they make those two videos in one thing? Like, you know, they put something else random.
I think you need some stimulus. You need more stimuli than TikTok already gives you.
Is that why they do it? Yeah. Oh my God. I always wonder why they're doing this.
Because it's entertaining. I don't know.
Really? I was so confused by it, and I just skip it. Okay.
Yeah, like on that topic, I think that was the eye opener. And now that you can kind of understand how your brain works, because when you don't know how your mind works, right? How are you supposed to do the things that you want to do? Like, if you have goals set for yourself, because you're not dealing with a regular brain. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that I have to kind of shortcut and do. And I've learned to do that throughout like the couple of months. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not your fault. Like, you know, that's the biggest thing, is like telling yourself that it's okay and it wasn't your fault. And as women, it's like, we are hard on ourselves. And then when you have this added to the mix, it's just, you just really talk really down to yourself. And the internal dialogue is just horrible. So when I was talking about just working on myself and healing from all of that, you know, that was after that, like everything just started working.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, everything started happening.
Whoa.
So what do you do to heal that inner dialogue? Like, what's something that you do?
For me, there's a couple of things that I do. I don't overthink things anymore. Like if I have an idea, I just execute. Like I don't sit there and think, and am I deserving of it? Am I not? Like just go do it. Because what happens is like you start overthinking and doubting yourself. And this is not even ADHD. This is just for like in general, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I do. Second thing that I do is like really being consistent. And I know everyone says that, but it's a lot of work. Like that discipline is a lot of work. And that's another thing that's a huge thing, just to be disciplined and be like, okay, like I actually have to do this now. Third thing is I started like writing things down like on a whiteboard instead of paper. It helps me process information like visually. That's another thing that I do. And the fourth thing I do is I do like, okay, have you heard of this book called The Alter Ego Effect?
No.
Okay, it's by Todd Herman, I believe.
Okay, I'll
Is
check
there
it
an
out.
audiobook for that?
Yeah, there is.
Because
That's
some of
another
us,
thing. I can't read books. I have to listen to audiobooks. But
Same.
okay. And like I'm like, why the fuck can't you read books? But like, yeah, I gotta read. So these little things, right? And not being hard on yourself. Because before I was like, why can't I read like properly? Like, why can't I just read a book?
Yeah,
Or-
same. It takes me like 40 minutes to read a page.
Exactly. And then you're just like, it just goes on loop, right?
Yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like I read this sentence already, but let me read it again. I don't
Exactly.
get
such
it.
a waste of time.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? But I would love to just sit here and look at people that just read books. I just want to be them. Like, I just
wish I
wanna be
gave
in
up
that
on
world.
reading.
Like go to a pool and open a nice book.
Yeah, I'm just like, that lasts for like 2 seconds. But yeah, that book actually talks about how you could build your alter ego. And that precisely means that you choose characters, right? That you find as either role models or somebody that you look up to, or it could be anything. It could be things. It can be people. It can be actors, something that's fiction, anything, right? And then you basically take those, it can be one person, many, and then you kind of step into their aura or their body. And everyone has this capability of being bigger than themselves, but it's our negative or limited belief system that keeps us as who we are. And stepping into those, okay, for an example, let me give you an example. Who's somebody that you really look up to?
Conan O'Brien.
Okay. So what you would do is you've already studied him, right?
Sure.
So
I saw a lot of late night TV. Yeah.
Yeah. So either it's like how you guys did the whole clap in the beginning of the show, or like snap, or physically just thinking that now I'm him. Right? And then you snap into it and now you just become. But that's still you. You're just using his attributes to be.
You're like channeling him, his energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I do all the time.
Oh, so who, if you don't mind me asking, who do you channel or bring attributes for? Like, who's your
Lady
idea?
Pista?
Yeah,
Me?
that's exactly what I was thinking, man. She has 2 alter egos, right? Lady Pista and the real you.
And yeah, I mean, everything is the real you at the end of the day, right?
Damn, that's deep.
Is it though?
It is. And sometimes you
What
don't
if
even
you have
know who the real
multiple-
you is.
What if you have a multiple, like, personality disorder?
I think this, well, isn't there still a real you deeper within? And
Or
then
maybe that's all of you.
Oh.
All those personalities, right?
different perspectives of you.
Yeah.
That's true.
And we
man.
all have that, right? Because like, how are you as a son? How are you as, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different versions of you
Right.
anyway.
Who are you
so-
with your friends? Who are you with your family?
Exactly.
Who are you on stage? So
Yeah.
we all do have that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the whole concept of the book, is that we all think that this is us or this is who we are. We can't change it. You know, I get angry, I get mad. Like, no, that's not you though. You can literally create that. You've already created it, right? You said
Yeah.
that's you. So you're saying it. I know it's kind of going deep, but
No, I like, yo, this is punch dialogue where we punch people in the heart with our dialogue. But so, like, one thing you said that is like, people think that they are a victim of their thoughts and stuff like that, but what you're allowed to create and you're allowed to step into other things, right? I feel like that's something that people don't recognize enough, that you can control what your mind focuses on, right? Rather than the other way around, where your mind is just a punching bag to everything else around
it's just
you.
like a monkey on the loose that you don't have control over. Yeah. And that was huge for me, right? Because like to keep this in check, like that's the absolute
easy.
hardest thing ever. Like, you know, like how our mind like works against us. That's the hardest thing ever. So yeah, getting your mind in check was a huge thing for me. And I think that's really like a lot of my success came from that.
Yeah,
right
when you have so much stimulus growing up, especially with the TikTok and the double screens, like maybe you don't even have time to like do that introspection, right?
Yeah.
So until something like COVID or the past few years happen where you just have to think about yourself or focus on yourself, right?
Yeah, just even if you want to be better, right? Because we all have pasts and we all have things that we've dealt with.
Yeah, sometimes, but doing by yourself is definitely hard, right? Usually what I do is I just put myself in an environment, like, I have a friends group, like a friend group who will like support me, right? Do you have something like that? They're like, you say you keep this in check, right? It's not all on you, right? Does your friends help you with that too? Like, hey.
Yeah. I think, surrounding yourself with really healthy, good people is another thing, right? Whether they're in the industry or not, like just people that are supportive. And I had to cut people off that were taking, space away from even creative space. Like when I noticed that, wow, like this is actually, I'm thinking about this way too much. And this is eating up into my like artistry or things that even if I'm helping people, like it's really eating up into it. I can't. Like, I really have to cut that relationship off.
How did you cut them off? Did you say, okay, bye-bye?
You just ghost them.
I think there's a conversation to be had about that, like a healthy conversation. But at the same time, if that's not able to happen, it's okay to walk away from it and, really just put yourself first.
What if it's your family members, though?
Well, I've had to do that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about even being women in the industry. Like in the beginning, my parents did not want me to do this, right? So,
why not? Is it because you weren't making any money at the beginning?
I think a part of it was there was just not a lot of information about women being in the music industry. So they didn't have people, growing up, people growing up like girls or guys, whatever, like growing up in that space where we were able to be in the music industry. That was one. So who are they looking up to? And I think the second point is that I think it was a little bit of the unknown. And yes, as you said, money, that was a huge thing. As anything creative, I think the money thing was a huge thing. But I think overall, it's like, I think parents want to see results really fast, right?
Right.
Yeah, when you go to school, there's a path, or you think there's a path, right? But here, what is the path? There is no path. You're creating the path. So that's a bit confusing for them. And
this is something that they don't know about, right? Like
Yeah.
DJ, what, that's something that you see it here and there, but
and it's just like, oh, really? That's what you're going to do for the rest of your life, right?
True.
It's not really something that's congratulated or, wow, you're so, you're doing something that is empowering people. It's more so about like, what's society going to think that my daughter's doing, right? But
so what about your relationship now with your parents, right? This happened like a long time ago, right? Right now, you're influential, right? You're a success. What about now? It's still...
Let me just say, and I'll keep it very brief, that the relationship with my parents are very much so separated, whereas they don't really know what happens on my music side. Right. So it's very much so, okay, like, this is what you do as our daughter, and everything else is kind of what you do. Unfortunately, there's not much of a relationship there.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's unfortunate, but that is what healthy relationships looks to me. And sometimes you do have to cut out your relationships with your parents, or, not completely, but just to preserve that too, because sometimes you get supportive parents, sometimes you don't. But at the end of the day, it's the cards that you're dealt. And it's either what are you going to be in victim mode and say, oh, my parent, like how long can you say that for? You know?
Right.
Yeah,
so yeah, just to keep it brief, like it's very separated. So they support it, or I think they do. But I think now it's more so about like, I don't even really care for their...
Okay.
That's true. Like all flowers can blossom, but only in the right environment.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So
if you want to grow, you do have to change your environment, and that can shake things up, but you have to pick your hard. That's going to be hard, or your life, sheltering can be hard, or your day job that you hate can be hard. Like pick your hard. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw this video on Instagram. It's about you DJing at Blue Jays game. Right? Yeah, that was crazy, man. Because I never seen a South Asian artist, like, in a big game like that, like, Blue Jays. My first question is, did Blue Jays win that game or no?
The first one that I did, yeah, I did. Obviously, did.
They did one. Okay.
They did the first one. I played about 7 games this season, so quite
That's
a few.
huge.
Mhm.
So are you on their roster or something to like keep playing? Like, you know?
Well, for now, I am. I'm gonna be doing it next year as well. For
Dope.
next
Can you let me
season.
know when you're going? Because I love the Jays. I'm there like a lot. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to be there. The same. I want to be there to listen to like, you know, South Asian fusion or something.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
I think it was really like a pivotal moment, and which I celebrated for myself and for the culture, because we had people that weren't brown there, majority 90%, right?
Yep.
And I think to go there and be probably one of the few artists on their roster to be like, okay, this is what I do.
Yeah.
I play South Asian music and and blend of the urban music, and I'm not changing that. And this is what you're kind of gonna get. That was really powerful because now you get to see like Tamil music playing in Rogers Center for the Blue Jays, right?
Yep.
Or Bollywood music or Indian music, whatever. But the thing is, it's like if we don't showcase this to people, right? We don't showcase diversity and we actually stand up for something, like we're not going to be able to even put our voices in those kind of spaces. So like, I know it's the Blue Jays, but more than that, it was like, wow, like what a powerful moment for me, for our community, for everyone, that could be a part of this.
About being a role model, you said that when you started, your parents were like, oh, they didn't have anyone to like relate to or see that music can be done in the industry, but now you're doing it, right? Do you feel like you're filling those shoes that weren't there before?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I definitely do. And that's one of my motivators, right? Because I never had that growing up. So I always wanted to be something or someone in this world that like, okay, if I didn't have that, I want to just be it, right? So yeah, I'm pretty sure there are, right? And like the not so great side of even social media, because that's a lot of the content is consumed. Like I don't necessarily always know, right? And even if you're in the Blue Jays game on the screen, like nobody's telling me that, this little kid or whoever is watching is being influenced by it. And I think that part, I wish I knew more, right? But I do see some of the, like, my fans are amazing. They're so supportive and like such great people. So when they do send me those DMs that they saw me there, and I'm just like, oh, those are my favorite messages. Like, it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Yeah.
I wanted to message you too, but I got shy. And I was like, okay,
What?
I'll just see.
Is that a thing? Like, do I look like, no, I'm so like, no.
Oh, you have Pista in your name.
Yeah, I get that all the time. And I'm like, I'm not that scary. I swear I'm not that scary.
What I want to know now is, how did you get in contact with Diljit Dosanjh? He's like the Punjabi superstar, right?
Yeah. He's doing some
how did
great
you
things.
get a chance to like, remix one of his hits?
Again,
Naina, right?
Yeah. So like basically right now I have a contract with Tips Industries.
Okay.
So they're
Go ahead.
they're a label from India, like world renowned label. They own a lot of publishing rights to a lot of cool movies. And the A&R from that contacted me. She actually, shout out to Serena, she's dope. She actually put me onto that song. So it was a 2-day turnaround.
Whoa.
So yeah, that was like one of those things. Yeah, it was like one of those things. Hey, we got this movie coming up called The Crew. So Kareena Kapoor, Tabu. We have it's all female cast, and then like we have Diljit and Badshah on it, and this is a track we want you to do. Can you do it?
Yeah.
And obviously, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. This is like a really late night message too. So the next morning, I just did it. I pitched I'm a piano, which is a genre that we don't really hear in Bollywood. See, there's always like this innovativeness that goes on beyond my music, because it's like, I don't want to do something that's already done. So yeah, at that time, or even now, Bollywood's not too keen about I'm a piano, but we sold that idea, and that's how that genre for that song was remixed that way. But that was done in like literally 2 days.
Whoa.
Mixed, mastered. On
Is that all the time you need, or do you think like, oh, if I had a week, if I had a month, or do you think you would have just let the time fill and like?
Yeah, I think especially with, I don't know about any other industry, but I think for me with music, the more time I spend on it, there's always gonna be something I want to change, right? And like for me, I'm just like, just put it out. That's another thing. Just put it out. put it out. It doesn't matter how it's like, if you're okay with it and you're proud of it, okay. Because you give me another day and I'm going to change the song and it's going to be a total different song. So I actually have a timer, and that's one of the things that I do as well. Like I put a timer on, and then I just like, say if it's an hour or half an hour, I just go, and that's it.
Oh, what do you mean you have a timer? So you
like on my phone, like a timer, or you have apps as well. Like I think there's an app called Focus.
So you remix during that 1 hour and that's it. Whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever is that. And if it's 2 hours, is that like a lot of the reels that you see is literally that.
Oh,
I'm like, let's see how much reels I can do in an hour.
That's sick.
And then I just do whatever, and then it's like I don't touch it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So you're not spending your whole day on reels, but you're just getting like your concentrated
like songs. If you have
efforts,
projects done for artists, it's like, okay, you have 2 hours to do this, and that's it. Sometimes it takes longer, yes, but like at least that mentality is I have 2 hours. You're not like sitting there for like 10 hours being like I have the whole day, right? So that's like a huge productivity tip.
Dope. So like, do you feel you're pulled one way or the other? Like you mentioned the collab just now in the Punjabi community. And like, do you feel pulled to do more South Asian stuff, or do you feel like to go more mainstream, you do some English stuff, have a balance? Like you do a lot of fusion, but is there ever a point where you're like, oh, this audience wants that, or this audience needs that, and you have to try to work your style a bit? Yeah.
No, that's a great question, because that is kind of what I do. I think for every, even for every label that you work with, or if you're doing your own thing, like everyone wants different things, right? But the core is like I said, for me, is like that South Asian blend, culturally with other genres, right? So I always come back to that. As long as I have that, then I'm able to kind of be like, okay, if Tips wants something to do with, they wanted to drop in that song, and my piano doesn't have drops, right? And I had to go back and be like, oh, is this something that I want to do? Because I don't really do like I kind of do. I don't really do a lot of drops, and it's not really my thing. But am I selling out by doing that? Okay, if the answer is no, then I'm gonna do it.
Selling out by doing a drop? I've never heard of this.
Like
is this
as in like the sound, like you know what I mean? I don't like the like. I just like it. Just drives me wild sometimes.
So no drops.
I mean,
but that's what people get people going.
I know,
though, right?
which I'm learning now, and now you'll hear a couple like there's a drop on my new album. But see, like it's also being open-minded, right? Like it's like I learned from that. I'm like, okay, people actually like that, and like to your point, like I included that in my album because that was completely my own. Nobody's telling me what to do. I included that because I knew how much people liked it. So you learn a lot too by being open-minded and being a learner of the different worlds. Like when I'm just DJing a party, which I barely do now, but like when I am and it's not my music, you really get to see like what people like, and then you take that and you put it into your music. So there's always like this learning that comes with.
I like that. I like that. I like to listen to people what they say and put that into scripts too.
Kind of like if you have a party, or like for an example, if you come out to one of my events, like people want to listen to the stuff that they've never heard before, right? And that's why they're there.
Do you throw cakes at people? I'm just asking, man.
Cakes?
Like
what are you talking about?
I'm talking about like famous DJs, man, right? Like
like they're throwing cake at the audience.
Yeah, Steve Aoki, right? Or like sick cake.
There has not been cake at my parties, no, unfortunately.
I'm just saying that's something that you can consider, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's my vibe, but
what is your vibe?
Yeah, so for the album that I just put out, I had an album release party right in Toronto, and the way that I did that aesthetically was, I was going through the process how I created the music about the beat, so it kind of talk about it and create it right on the spot again. So that is kind of one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and I think a lot of people. That's not like something that you go to and, they kind of understand it in a way where it's just not a track playing. Because, right, anybody can press play. But like now you are telling them how the stems were created, how the drums were created. Okay, what are these sounds? Where is it from? Where did I pull this inspiration from? And how did I put all these elements together? That's cool. Like, people want to hear that. Yeah. So that's something that I did at my album release party. I got really good like reviews on that. So that's something that I want to do, So I'm gonna skip the cake for now.
Yeah. You know,
So like stuff like that. That's a little bit more conscious. I do want to do more conscious stuff. I love educating about different like instruments, because in my album I use a lot of different instruments, not from South Asia, but even Persian instruments. A lot of people don't know about that. So there's a huge educational component to how I make music, and for I guess people that are not in the industry to understand, because as producers we understand, as creators we understand, but the regular person that's just coming there, they don't understand, right? So that's like an experience for them. So
that's dope. When you said pushing play, I thought about that meme. You know that white girl on TikTok that's crying like, what the F do DJs even do?
Yeah.
From a DJ, what do DJs even do?
So
what's your answer? What do DJs do?
What do DJs do? Depends on which DJ. There are push play DJs out there.
Yeah, I went to Oshiega and literally all I saw was a guy at the mask push play and just
that's like, so okay, this is the thing. That's like a performance DJ, right?
Sure. So they make their mix
festivals,
they make their mix before and get
some
it
of the
ready.
mixes are done before, some of them are done so you can blend it in on the spot. But that's performances, right? Because the thing is, like, anything can go wrong. So a lot of the times they'll tell you, okay, have your sets ready. Or some of the times, they'll do like a whole hour, like just faking it, right?
Oh,
so
that's a normal thing to just have a performance ready and like you're.
Wait, they're faking it?
Yeah, people fake it all the time.
Oh, do you fake it?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't. But like,
one day you will when you get hired to do the performance.
Yeah.
Right?
Who knows? But like, again, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it is like, in terms of like when you get hired to do something, you don't really like artists that like, you know, that don't really sing on the mic and there's a track playing at the back. It's very similar.
Same thing. True.
Right. So maybe you're not capable, or it's like something always happens. So I don't really, unless it's like you mixed it and that's your own shit. That's all I care about. Like, you don't really know what's happening on the back end. So
I guess there's different places for those actual DJ modes, like the boiler rooms that I see on YouTube with all these like with Fred again and all these where they're actually mixing live.
Yeah,
right.
That's all.
Yeah,
true.
So being a DJ, like, you know, you've been doing this for so many years, right? So you must have had like so many crazy stories, right? Because you're performing constantly in front of such a crowd, right? Is there such a crazy story that you, till this day, you remember that you always tell people?
I guess in the beginning, now I don't have that, but like, I guess in the beginning when there's random people that come up to you and they're just like the uncles, you know, I used to play for like weddings and stuff before. So the uncles will be like, what are you playing? This is the trap music. Like, they'll like tell you like it's swearing, like don't play that, like stuff like that. And they're really mean though. They're like really mean. But like, besides that, crazy stories, you know, I guess my fans really like affection. There's people that'll just come kiss me on my cheeks and like, it's just like that. I don't know if that's crazy, but like
that's weird.
Yeah, and
weird.
it's just like, whoa, like, you know, that's starting to happen.
Okay.
This infatuation.
This is why you gotta wear a mask now.
Oh,
just like other
that's why DJs wear masks.
Yeah, that's why I think so. Is that why they wear masks? So they don't want to get kissed on the cheek?
Like an actual mask or an actual
like
mask?
an actual
marshmallow or like
and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's their brand though, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever thought about like creating your
Well,
own
now
mask?
I might after that other party.
If I ever get into DJing, I'm definitely wearing a mask. Yeah.
Okay.
But I always think, isn't it so hot in there? Like, how did they even see? Like,
Must have nostril.
Or
But
like
it's
a
just hot
small
in
like
there.
portable AC in there. That's possible.
maybe.
There's a portable AC out there, man.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is
that you
it?
can just hook up on a sweater or like, you know, yeah.
Oh, so
Okay.
you've looked into this.
I looked into
for the future
this. Yo.
DJ career.
future mask DJ.
Yeah.
But so what are the projects that you're currently working on right now?
So I have a few, you know, like after the release of my album, which was like really a cool moment for me as well, because for the longest time I thought I had to make remixes, even though I've done albums before where I've sang in them and all that stuff. So for now, like after the release of it, which is in August, I am shooting like music videos for them, which is now kind of going into original sound, original music, which is where I want to be and where I'm going. So that's going to be next year, which is really interesting. So creatively, like now you have the music, but now it's like visuals, you know, that package. There's nothing like that package, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm working on. And then also going to India and just recording like sounds
Okay.
from like I use a lot of instrumentalists, so actual musicians in my music. I think that's really important. I think as producers, you sometimes get into the routine of using VSTs and virtual instruments, but I really love using like actual drummers and actual bansuri players, like Hashiel. I use him and he's amazing. So any of the flute stuff that you use, it's an actual flutist that are using, and they bring their own experiences, right? So going there and just recording, also possible tour.
Hey.
Damn, Lady Pista tour? Nice.
Yeah, because I just did Singapore. I just came back from Singapore and Bali, and like I realized doing a show there. So I realized like the Asian market is so different than North American.
Different how? What's the difference?
There's a lot of opinions on this, but for me, I feel like it's received more, like my music is received more, and they are more ready to listen to more of the music that isn't commercial.
Okay.
And there's that need there. And I think even here, possibly there could be that need, but I don't know if people will show up for it. So I do want to do like a reoccurring event here where, you know, you can hear me every week or every month, like a show.
Definitely let us know.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. And also like just bring different diversities to it and just not like, you know, South Asian music. It's everyone. It's a collective. So
why do you think that you said the Asian audience is more receptive to it? Like, why do you think that is? Like they just like the fresh sound. Like, are they?
Yeah, I mean, like North America is always the last one to hop onto trends, right? It's UK is one of them that like, you know, trendsetters. Even like Indonesia was like probably one of the first ones to even, you know, hop on the Afrobeat vibe, but we wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of like that part of the world, they're just more open to new music.
I wonder why that is though. I wonder why that is.
I think we're only open to it when it becomes popular here, right?
No, because in North America, it's like it's like a melting pot, right? Like we have so many cultures, right? And I would think that we would be the first one to like experiment so many different music because we have so many different cultures around constantly, right?
You know what I blame? I blame capitalism.
Capitalism.
I think it's only popular here when you could sell tickets with it and when they find that it works in a market. So that's why they got to wait for the data. They got to wait for other people to like it and then they bring it here.
Yeah, possibly. But that's the great thing about now we have. Well, I encourage everyone to just like go out and listen to new music because now we have so many options, right? We have Instagram where you can listen to new audio. So support like artists that are doing that and not only the artists that are mainstream here, right? Sure. So I think going on to their concerts, like it all starts with you guys. Like it all starts there, right? The viewers, the fans.
Everyone listen to this. Like keep sharing content, right? Yeah,
exactly. So it all starts with us. So like instead of blaming, you know, just go out, support.
That's true.
Yeah. So we're nearing towards the end, but I want to ask stuff that, you know, I ask a lot of our guests because you have a lot of experience. If you could talk to, you know, your younger self, what kind of advice would you give a little Pista?
I would say it's not an easy journey. It's a hard journey. It's a challenging one, but stick with it because you are not meant to do anything else. And even if anybody tells you, you always know yourself and you always know what you are meant to do. And sometimes the path less traveled has more rewards. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So
damn.
That's such heavy words you just said. Like everything you said was just like one punch after another. On punch dialogue. Yes.
This is what we do.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So,
But thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
You know?
So much fun.
I know you're busy. You just came from Ottawa. You have another event later today. So thank you for squeezing us in. It's a busy morning.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to have these conversations and thank you for doing what you guys do. It's platforms like yours that really, you know, get voices out. Even with me, like a lot of the stuff that you see me doing is music. So this is behind the scenes. So thanks for providing that platform.
Yo, for sure. So listen to Lady Pista and go and subscribe to our channel and listen to our podcast. Bye, everybody.
And that's it.